Ever wondered what the different colours of lightsabers really mean in the Star Wars universe? From the noble blue to the mysterious purple, each hue has a different story. Stay tuned as we dive into the secrets behind these iconic weapons and reveal what your favourite colour says about you as a Jedi or a Sith. Don't miss a second, hit that subscribe button and let's ignite this journey together. Did you know that various colours each tell you something different about the Force users who wield them? As the movies and series are being churned out at a significant pace, we now have a wide variety of lightsabers, with influences clearly taken from the expanded universe. We now have curved lightsabers, lightsaber staffs, double-bladed lightsabers, detachable lightsabers, short lightsabers, long lightsabers, heck, there's even a lightsaber whip shown most recently in the Acolyte. When you consider that each of these can be customised with a different coloured crystal, the choices are endless. The key component inside every lightsaber is the kyber crystal, which is the source of the blade, which therefore determines its colour. Early on in their Jedi training, younglings went on a sort of field trip to the planet Ilum, where they would have to navigate a dangerous frozen cave to seek out their own kyber crystal. The colour of the crystal, and therefore the colour of the blade, is determined the moment that the Force user extracts it from its resting place. Therefore, the lightsaber crystal tells us something about the original wielder of the blade and their connection to the Force. It's important to note that the blade colour won't change if a different user picks up someone else's lightsaber. The colour is usually tied to the harvester of the crystal rather than the wielder of the blade. Beginning with blue, which seems to be the most common colour amongst the Jedi and was the original colour within the Star Wars films. Blue blades are wielded by Anakin Skywalker, Obi Wan Kenobi, Kanan Jarrus, Master Sol, and many more. The reason why most Jedi appear to have a blue lightsaber is because it represents loyalty, honesty, justice, and bravery. This is very similar to what the Jedi generally stand for, so this makes perfect sense. In Legends, the blue lightsabers were wielded by Jedi Guardians, who focus mostly on combat, protection, and security. The second most common lightsaber colour that we see within the Star Wars universe is green. Green crystals were used by Yoda, Qui Gon Jinn, and Luke Skywalker. Green lightsabers were said to symbolise safety, harmony, growth, spirituality, and empathy. This is why we generally saw green lightsabers being wielded by wiser and more senior members of the Jedi. In Legends, green lightsabers were wielded by Jedi consulars. Similar to canon, a Jedi consular is someone who has devoted themselves to the mental aspects of the Force, rather than the physical aspects. These Jedi were deep thinkers and devoted students who would study the meaning and inner workings of how the Force worked. A quick trivia fact, did you know that green lightsabers weren't actually originally part of George Lucas's vision? Luke Skywalker was meant to have a blue lightsaber in Return of the Jedi. In fact, much of the original and unaltered promo material show Luke wielding a blue lightsaber. However, during the fight on Jabba's sail barge, the blue lightsaber wouldn't show up against the bright blue Tatooine sky, so therefore, the decision was made to turn it green during filming. This gave us the first green lightsaber in Star Wars. Yellow lightsabers were certainly a bit more rare amongst the Jedi. These were typically wielded by Jedi such as Rey, Jedi Temple Guards, Bastila Shan, and Yord Thandar. Yellow lightsabers were said to symbolise kindness, goodness, and selflessness. Yellow lightsabers have certainly started to become a bit more popular in canon thanks to Rey and their wider inclusion in the Acolyte. In Legends, they were associated with the third and final class of the Jedi, who were the Jedi Sentinel. Jedi Sentinels were a mix of both schools of teaching. However, they also broadened their skill and knowledge base through the study of computers, security, repair, medicine, and demolition. They were usually a great all-rounder and would often take the lead of Jedi teams during the Old Republic. Next up, we have the incredibly rare purple lightsaber. Purple lightsabers were wielded by Mace Windu and Darth Revan. The purple lightsaber was said to symbolise those that had a strong connection to both the light and dark side of the Force. The purple lightsaber was said to represent protection, nobility, and balance. Interestingly, when you mix blue and red, it becomes purple, representing the balance. In reality, the purple lightsaber exists thanks to Samuel L. Jackson, who personally requested a purple lightsaber from George Lucas during the filming of Attack of the Clones.
What's your lightsaber color?
Oh, well, good guys are green and blue, bad guys are red. That's just the way it works.
No purple lightsaber?
You might get purple.
Red lightsabers are used primarily by the Sith and other dark side users of the Force. Red lightsaber wielders have included Darth Vader, Count Dooku, Darth Sidious, Darth Maul, Kylo Ren, and pretty much every other bad guy or girl who has appeared in the universe. The list goes on. Red lightsabers represent anger, hatred, aggression, and power. In canon, the Sith will generally take its lightsaber from a fallen Jedi opponent and channel their anger, fear, and hatred into turning it red. This process is called bleeding. The bleeding process can actually damage and fracture the crystal. An example of this is Kylo Ren. During his bleeding process, the crystal was cracked, making the blade unstable, which is why it has that rippled and fiery appearance. The cracked crystal caused unfocused heat, and therefore, Kylo Ren had to divert the blade out of the side vents to prevent it from exploding. This gave the added benefit of a crossguard above the hilt, which protected his hands, but at the cost of running the risk of an injury or even death every time that it was ignited. In Star Wars Legends, the Sith actually use synthetic crystals, as the red crystals do not naturally exist. The synthetic crystals were said to be more powerful than the naturally occurring ones that the Jedi used. White lightsabers are another incredibly rare crystal seen within the Star Wars universe. The most notable wielder of the white lightsaber was Ahsoka Tano after the Clone Wars. The white lightsaber was said to represent rebirth, redemption, purity, and victory over the dark side. White crystals were also not known to occur naturally, and could be obtained by taking a red crystal that's been bled by a dark side user and purifying it through the light side of the Force, essentially the reverse of the bleeding process. Ahsoka obtained her white crystal after defeating the Inquisitor, the sixth brother, and then purifying it. She used these after the fall of the Jedi Order, and they can be seen in Rebels, Mandalorian, and Ahsoka. A relatively new addition to the Star Wars universe is the orange lightsaber. The most notable wielders in the canon universe are fallen Jedi mercenaries Baylan Skoll and Shin Hati in the Ahsoka series. Potentially, these lightsaber crystals appeared orange for similar reasons to Mace Windu's appearing purple. They represented users of both the light and the dark side of the Force, but with a preference for the dark side. It's important to note that Baylan Skoll and Shin Hati are not Sith, but are in fact mercenaries who are motivated by money, knowledge, and power. In Legends, orange lightsabers were used by Jedi who were unconventional and would often operate outside of the direction of the Jedi Order. Perhaps the rarest of all lightsaber colours was black. There was only one known black lightsaber, and that was the Darksaber. This weapon was created by the first Mandalorian Jedi, Tar Vizsla, and was built over a millennium before the Clone Wars and Galactic Civil Wars took place. After Tar Vizsla's death, members of House Vizsla stole the Darksaber from the Jedi Temple during the fall of the Old Republic. The Darksaber was passed down generation to generation by his ancestors, until Pre-Vizsla was killed by Maul, who then technically became the leader of Mandalore and head of the Death Watch. Over the years, the Darksaber had several key owners, including Pre-Vizsla, Maul, Sabine Wren, Bo-Katan, Moff Gideon, and Din Djarin. Although little is known about the Darksaber's crystal, it's likely fractured and focused in a specific way due to the shape of the blade and the fact that it's an ancient artifact. Which lightsaber colour is your favourite? Which would you choose to wield, and what colour would you hope to get as you explored the caves of Ilum? Or would you follow the dark side of the Force and bleed your crystal red? Let me know what you would pick and what you think below in the comments. If you enjoyed the video, hit like and subscribe to Star Wars Noob for more daily Star Wars theory and lore. Thanks for watching.